So, hello everyone, my name is Adarsh Kumar and today it is my sixth lecture of Python tutorial course, and I am referring a YouTuber named Rishabh Mishra and his notes to teach you. So, in the last lecture we have learned about list, tuple, sets and dictionary. So, in that thing I tell you many things about how to create list, how to create tuples, how to create sets and dictionaries, and I I teach you how to create sets and dictionary and list and some facts about them. Like lists are immutable, but tuples are no lists are mutable, but tuple are immutables. That list can be changed, but tuples cannot. And set and dictionary doesn't allow duplicate elements, and set and dictionary doesn't allow indexing and slicing in it, but in list and tuple we can use it. And how I told you that tuples are immutable, but we can change it. From firstly we have to create a tuple into list, and then change that list, and then the changed list we have to create back into tuple. So like this we can change a tuple. And I tell you how to do slicing in list and tuples. And for set you can use the intersection union things, and for dictionary you can also see that. And everything I tell you about these fours are important. So today we are going to learn an important chapter in this Python, and this is oops in Python. So we will learn about what is oops, why oop is required, class and object, attribute and methods, init methods. This is also known as constructor and we will learn about four types of abstraction: encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. So these are four things that are in oops criteria. We will learn this today. So we will learn this oops today. So here are the things like so oops in Python. There are two ways of programming in Python. First one is procedural programming and second one is oops. So we are doing some procedural programming before, and now we will do oops. So what is oops? Oops is object-oriented programming, a way of organizing code by creating blueprint called classes to represent real-world things like a student, car, or house. These blueprints help you create objects, individual examples of those things, and define their behavior. A class is a blueprint or template for creating objects. It defines the properties, attributes, and action behaviors methods that object of this type will have. So here we know that class is blueprint, and what is an object? This is an instance of a class, and object is a specific instance of a class. It is actual data based on the blueprint defined by the class. So we have learned about class and object. So class is a blueprint of the map, and this object is an instance of the class. Oops example in Python. Example: constructing a building. Class blueprint for a floor. Object is actual house built from the blueprint. Each house object can have different features like paint, color, or size, but follows the same blueprint. Okay, so this is a class. Class is a blueprint that how we create a building, but object are like paints, colors, size. This all be same, but blueprint will always be the same. Okay, so here is why oops. So why oops? Oops is used for models real world programming, mimic real world entities for easier understanding, and second is code reusability. It encourages reusable, modular, and organized code, easier maintenance. Oops organize code into small manageable parts like classes and objects. changes in one part don't impact other, making it easier to maintain. And fourth one is encapsulation. So encapsulation protects data integrity and privacy by bundling data and methods within objects. And fourth is flexibility and scalability. OOPs make it easier to add new features without affecting existing ones. Okay, so these are the points that why OOPs are important. And so these are some questions, like first one is define a student class with attributes name, grade, percentage and team. Include an init method to initialize these attributes. Add a method student details that print the student details in format. Name is in grade, grade with percentage from the team. So first question is that class and object. Class is a blueprint of or template for creating objects, and object is a specified instance of a class. So example like class student pass. So class student is this is in class, and here we will create a object student.1. Here is example, you can see it. So we are seeing it here, like there's some OOPS questions. Write a program, Python program. So first these are some questions. First we will learn how to create a class, object, everything, then we will go to these questions. Okay, so here's a class and object example. Earlier I said that a class is a blueprint or template from creating objects. And what is an object? An object is a specific instance of a class. So here is an example. We firstly created a class student, and then we pass it, and then create an object. We created student1 is equal to student, this is an object. Then we print this class. Okay, so output will like class main student. This will come type if we will find this type. So here's an attribute and methods. So attributes, variables that hold data about the object is known as a attribute. So means attribute are those that hold data about the variables. No, these are the variables that hold data about the object. So these are known as attributes. Okay, and what are methods? Function defined inside a class that describe its behavior. So methods are those that function defined inside a class that describe its behavior is known as methods. An example here, this is a class student def. We created a class, then we give some attributes here like name, grade. So we have to remember one thing, this is the init constructor. When we use init constructor, there we have to use self compulsory. So we have to always use this self thing. So we have to use this self always, and we have to do this also. We have created two attribute like name and grade, and then we in this method, this is a method. Here we have created get grade self and return this formatted string. Self name is a grade, self grade. Here is this object creation. First we created an object student1 is student2, print student1 dot get grade. So output only Madhav is in 10 grade. So first we have to use init constructor, then attributes, then method, then object. Okay, so these are the things. And another thing is about object creation. So the other thing is about the init method constructor. So whenever we create, construct an object of a class, there is an inbuilt method init which is automatically called to initialize attributes. So this is an init method whenever we create, construct an object of a class. So there is an inbuilt method in it which is automatically called to initialize attributes. Okay, so the self parameter is a reference to the current instance of the class, and it is used to access variable that belongs to the class. And okay, we have learned about this. And example here, this class student def init self name grade initialize object with attributes. So here this is the example how to means how we create and print this variable. First we have to, in the class we have to give some attributes, then the method student1 is equal to student Madhav 10, then print student1 dot name. Output will come as Madhav. And now we will learn about the four means under subtypes. Like first is what is abstraction in Python. So abstraction in Python is hiding unnecessary details. Means abstractions hides implementation details and shows only the relevant functionality to the user. So abstraction means abstraction hides implementation details. Okay, so it hides the implementation details and shows only the relevant functionality to the user. So here's an example. Like first we created a class student, and then we gave some constructor and their attributes. So in this problem we don't want that user knows how we did this, because they will see the result site. They only have to know about their marks, not about the process, how the marks is created, how this display on the screen. So for this purposes this abstraction works. Okay, so for here, like this is the thing that nobody wants to see, because they only have to be value these things. So this is therefore respect abstract method in use. So we this thing will be abstracted, not will be printed. Okay, and abstract method in use, you can see this code here also. In encapsulation in Python, restricting direct access to the attributes and methods. Encapsulation restrict access to certain attributes or methods to protect the data and enforce controlled access. So here's an example. It is private attribute. So if you want to hide anything in encapsulation, we will use this two under semicolon, and this will be goes as private attribute hidden. It will hide hidden. Okay. So we have learned about encapsulation. So encapsulation restricts access to certain attributes or methods to protect the data and enforce controlled access. So first we are here that when you want to hide any attribute, you will use this dot and 2 slashes %. Okay, so this will goes to this private attribute, and if you want this, so you have to print then it will come as error. You can see this code. First we have the class and the attributes and the public method to access the private attribute. You can access also by return self.this. Okay, and creating a student object like student1 student Madhav 10 19, and if we will print this, so this will work as like this. So inheritance in Python. So in Python, reusing parent properties and methods. Inheritance means reusing the parent properties and methods. Inheritance parent child allows one class child to reuse the properties and methods of another class parent. This avoids duplication and helps in code reuse. Example, you can see this example. This is a student class. So we will use this properties in another classes. So like here, this is a child class we used here. You know that this is a code. First is init constructor, then attributes, then we created a method here. Here you can see this super dot. We can use all these of things. Initializer, this is called parent class initializer, self stream. And fourth one is polymorphism in Python. So polymorphism is same method but different output. Polymorphism allows methods in different classes to have the same name but behave different depending on their object. So I will explain this all code in another video. Okay, so this is for today's lecture. We will explain all these videos things in another lecture. And now chapter 21. This is module packages and libraries in Python. So it is what is we will learn here what is module, create and use of a module, what is package, what is library, Python PIP, most used libraries. So what is modules in Python? So a module is a single Python file .py containing Python code. It can include function, classes and variables that you can reuse in the other programs. So why use modules? To organize code into smaller manageable chunks, to reuse code across multiple programs. Create a module. Save the following as a mymodule.py. So this is a module that dev say hello name. Use the module. There's the thing, these are not in our syllabus but this is in this course, so I have to teach you. So what are packages in Python? A package is a collection of modules. So module is a single Python file, but package is a collection of module and organized in directories, folders within init.py file. It allows you to structure your Python projects logically. Why use packages? To group related module together to create large applications or libraries. Here is the structure of this. Use the packages. And what are libraries? So library is a collection of modules and packages that provide pre-written functionality for your program. Libraries are typically larger and more feature rich than packages or module. And why use libraries? To avoid writing common functionality from scratch, to leverage powerful tools developed by the community. Example, Python has a popular library such as pandas, matplotlib, and we can use this. What is Python PIP? So PIP stands for PIP install packages. It is a package manager for Python that allows you to install, update and manage Python libraries packages from the following, from the Python package index PyPy. So these are things you can see. Here is concept you can see. Most used Python libraries is data, pandas, numpy, scipy, stats model, dash, matplotlib, seaborn, plotly, tensorflow. And now we will learn about file handling in Python. So what are file handling and how it done? So now we will learn about file handling in Python. So what is file handling, how to open and read a file, write and append to a file, create a file, close a file, work on txt, csv, excel, pdf files. So these are the things. So file handling in Python. So file handling in Python allows you to read and writes to file. This is important when you want to store data permanently or work with large data sets. So Python provide built-in functions and methods to interact with files. Steps for file handling in a Python. So first we have to opening a file, reading from a file, writing to a file, closing to a file. First open, then you can read or you can write on it, and this end you have to close the file. Open a file. To perform any operation read write on a file, you first need to open the file using Python open function. So file is this is the open syntax, okay, and then you have to write the file name and the mode. So file name of the file can be relative or absolute path. Mode in which the file is opened, read, write, append, etc. File modes. This R is known as read. Default value opens the file for reading. W writes open the file for writing. If file doesn't exist, it's create one. A is known for append, opens the file for appending. If file doesn't exist, it's create one. RB or WB, read and write in binary mode. Example, opening a file for reading. So here there is an example, if the file name is file and you will open, and this is the name of the file and this is the mode how you want to read or write something. Read from a file. Once a file is open, you can read from it using the following methods. Read method is used to reads the entire content of this file. Read line, reads one line from the file at a time. Read lines, read all lines into a list. So read line is used for read one line from a file. Read line and read lines used for reads all lines into a list. Here's an example, reading the entire file. So first we open the file and we opened it in a read mode, then print the content and close the file. So this is also the same. Here is also the same, write to a file. To write a file you can use the write or write lines methods. Writes a string to the file, write lines, write a list of strings. Here's a writing to a file, overwrite existing content. Appending to a file, this is appending of it. Close a file. So instead of manually opening and closing a file, you can use the with statement, which automatically handles closing the file when the block of code is done. Example, reading with statement, with open. So with statement is also good because it is a good. With open as file content, file dot read, print content. Use exception handling to close a file. Okay, so try, and finally exception says in the try we will write the code how it will execute, and finally we used for the finally thing will always print. Okay, so try the code you want to do, and finally these are some pandas file you will learn. So here I completed it because in the questions here, the questions which are here, so we will do it like we'll do it another video. We will do many questions from these things. I will do it all the questions tomorrow, and today we will learn about file handling, this oops file handling thing. How to, for handling a file, first you have to open a file, then write, append, read what you want to do, and then close a file. And we use with syntax like with opener, like with open example as file content, the file read, print content. These are some things on it. Okay, so here are the things. I think these are some things. And working with different format files, CSV using CSV module, using pandas library, Excel using pandas library, PDF using PyPDF2 library. These are some libraries that you can use in Python also. So for today, like we learn about oops, like oops in abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism. We learned today this. Okay, so today we all learned about this. And in next video I will come with many video questions, a lot of questions that are important for me or also you. If you are seeing, who the fuck are you? I don't know. Here are some files: application, data analytics, data visualization, machine learning, deep learning, web scraping, web development, game development. These are the things. So let's meet in next video with many questions.